it's me, Blanche, and right now it is story time at Feast in the Middle East. I want to share with you this story about an ancient sultan in Egypt. Now in Arabic, sultan means king, or sort of higher than a king. And one time he went on a hunting trip with his friends on the Nile River. They got hungry, so they stopped at a poor little village. And everyone in the village was like, who is this sultan, this royal guy? What are we going to feed him? We should welcome him. And they went to Ali's house because they knew she'd always have something up her sleeve. So he went to Ali's house. Now Ali means mother of Ali. And she made him this incredible dessert that was so delicious that he and his hunting crew came back many days over and over to eat the specific dessert. And guess what? I'm going to teach you how to make it right here on Feast in the Middle East. Okay, so the dessert I'm going to be making for you today is literally called Ali because it's named for the woman who made this dessert. It is an Egyptian bread pudding, and it's very different than the American bread pudding in that it uses puff pastry instead of bread. Now, why is this special? Because puff pastry is buttery and it's flaky and it's light at the same time. It's not as dense as traditional bread pudding that uses like denser bread. So what I did was I just took a half a package of frozen puff pastry and I let it thaw out. I've just got like 3 strips of it. This is gonna inflate a bit in the oven. I have the oven set to 400 degrees, and what I'm going to do is put it in the oven and bake for about 25 minutes. Now, puff pastries can vary in terms of baking time, so please check your package directions so that you don't burn it. And keep an eye on it. You want it to be browned and puffy. So right now I'm going to put it in the oven. All right, so now what we're going to do is create the cream mixture that we're going to mix with the puff pastry after it comes out. And what I have here is 2 cups of half and half. Now I'm using real dairy because there's kind of no substitutions for this. It's got that rich texture. I mean, you might be able to use plant milk, but you want a plant milk that has a lot of fat. I mean, we're not going to mess around and cut corners here. I have a half a cup of heavy whipping cream. So let's put that there. And to sweeten it, I'm going to put a can of condensed milk. That way the sugar is already incorporated with the dairy and there's no need to add extra sugar. This is it as far as the sugar goes. I love condensed milk. Condensed milk makes everything taste good. To season the dairy, we have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. So I'm just going to put the cinnamon in here. There we go. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You could put coconut or almond extract too if you want, but we're just keeping it simple with that. And what we're going to do is just gently stir the mixture around, incorporate all the different dairy action that I put in there. And I have it on kind of medium-high heat. And what you want to do is just to kind of continue stirring it and keep an eye on it. Don't leave it here and walk away because what will happen is it'll boil over if you just don't keep an eye on it. You don't know exactly when it's going to boil over, so it's best to keep an eye on it. So I'm just going to stir it for about 3 minutes. So I really love bread pudding. I feel like people don't make it that often. So I think it's a really special dish that you can make for brunch, even for breakfast, and of course for dessert. And it's not nearly as sweet as regular bread pudding. A lot of bread pudding recipes have like 2 cups of sugar and all this stuff. So I just use the can of condensed milk and I know that's all I need really. Okay, it's frothing and rising. That's when you want to turn it off. Because if you don't, you're going to have a milk explosion all over your oven. And that's no fun to clean, guys. So turn it off right away. So here we go. I'm just stirring this around and it's fully incorporated. And we can now set it aside and check out our puff pastry. All right, do you see how pretty and puffy the puff pastry became? That's why it's called puff pastry, because it puffs really nicely. Wait for it to cool a little bit. I know this seems so sad that I am literally cutting this. You could shred it too with your hands, but because it's quite hot and I want to move quickly, this is how I'm going to cut up the pastry. So I'm just going to use a serrated knife and cut it into chunks. And do the rest with the rest of the puff pastry. Now what we're going to do is mix the goodies. This is the fun part. Now you can customize this part. I'm putting a half a cup of pistachios, just like that, to add some crunch and nutty flavor. A half a cup of coconut, just like that. So I guess Oum Ali, she had some odds and ends in her pantry and she just decided to dump it in a pan. I mean, can't you imagine her doing that? About a quarter cup of raisins. You could add more if you want it sweeter. You could use dried cranberries if you want to mix it up, but I'm just gonna, you know, he's sultan and these are sultanas, so that kind of goes with the theme of the sultan's dessert. And finally, we have slivered almonds. If you want, you could also add walnuts. But I really like these slivered almonds because they're light and crispy. And now we are going to pour our glorious milk mixture over the whole thing. Everyone's puff pastry is different, so don't pour the whole thing if you find that it's getting drowned. So, you know, some puff pastries are different than others. I would say pour it up to about this much so that it's fully covering all of the ingredients. So now I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for about a half an hour. Just keep an eye on it. You want to make sure that the top is browned and that it springs back to the touch. So let's go ahead and put this in the oven. Okay, so I made one in advance in a different kind of casserole pan that's deeper and thicker. So it really depends on how you like your bread pudding. If you like it thin versus thicker, I just decided to mix things up. You could also put them in individual ramekins and bake them in the oven that way. But I invited a special guest to give this dessert a try. So what I'm going to do is put a big hunk. And you know, I didn't use that whole milk mixture for the bread pudding. I like to keep some extra anyway so I could drizzle the top of the dessert with it. So let me just take this out. And I'm going to serve this to Isa. Come on over. Isa is actually my mom.
Hi, Blanche.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks for inviting me.
Of
Wow,
course.
this is a treat. Now, this is an Egyptian dish. That's why I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah, this is something that we didn't grow up with, but I
Yeah.
like doing research on desserts from different areas of the Middle East. And I had a little bit extra of that milk mixture, so I'll just kind of like drizzle it on top.
Ooh,
Isn't
that looks
beautiful?
heavenly. Oh my God.
Look at that dessert,
Yeah.
guys.
Ooh.
There we
That's good enough.
that good
oh my
enough?
God, I love that.
This is just for
Oh
you.
my God.
Isa.
Let me
Here you
check.
go. Tell me, do you like it?
Let me see. I never had it before.
Oh, this is your first
Yeah.
time. Oh, wow, cool. Let's see. Do you like it?
It's
It's
so
not
good.
like too sweet, right?
No.
Not cloyingly sweet.
I could see why you say it's good for brunch because
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Okay,
the flavors. Oh my God. The pistachios, the coconut, the almonds.
I guess Ali knew what she was doing at the time when she made this dessert to lure the
is
sultan
amazing.
every year, and it's kind of cool that we can bring this dessert back alive probably a couple of thousand years later. So
Some people do it with a croissant, but I think this is the best one.
yeah,
The best
isn't
recipe.
puff pastry the best?
Amazing. We'll start making it from now on, that's for sure.
All right,
It's
thank you,
gonna be
Mom.
in my repertoire. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Blanche.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
You.
Mwah.
I'm
Love you,
gonna
Mom.
finish eating chopping.
Go
this.
ahead, go
Oh.
ahead. I love it when she's happy because she always makes me yummy things. I want to return the favor. So if you want to see more recipes out of Egypt, let me know. So far we did Egyptian balele salad, and now we're doing Ali. There's a lot of hidden treasures in Egypt as well, culinary-wise. So hit me up. Let me know in the comments below what else you'd like to see on this show. And remember to subscribe, hit the bell so you can see the episodes as soon as I upload. And my cookbook is out, and you can make all of these recipes at home with precise measurements, because everyone's always asking me about precise measurements. Where's the all in the cookbook?
Well, you certainly give them.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mom.
Oh my God. This
Thank
is
you,
really-
guys.
Thank you.